First story I want to talk about today is Jussie Smollett. You guys know about it. I mean, it's the biggest news story in the world. People that don't even care about politics are texting me being like, dude, this is a hoax. I knew it from the start. It's finally the media story that's breaking through what I call a matrix breaker, but the rap community is figuring out about it. You know, the urban culture, social media community, like whatever you want to name it. It's something that kind of broke that, and everyone's talking about it. My family, who doesn't really pay attention to politics, like, whoa, this guy's lying. It's great because it's not great, obviously. It's not good that he said that, but there's been a lot of stories like this that have been total hoaxes, but instead of it getting bigger and bigger and bigger, like this Jussie Smollett situation, it didn't go away. It just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm not happy he lied. I'm not happy it happened. I never wish for people's downfalls. But a lot of the media hoaxes, they start here. Everyone talks about it, screams about it, cries about it. And then as the truth comes out, it gets smaller. So by the time I'm like, hey guys, that whole story, the entire story was never true to begin with. People were like, oh, too late. We don't care about it anymore. So it is kind of nice that this one got bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where no one can ignore it. The crazy thing about the Jussie Smollett situation, I might make a whole video. Sorry, I'm a little nasally today. I have a list. I've been compiling a list over the past few days. 60, 70 people. I have politicians, news analysts, celebrities who lied about the Jussie Smollett situation. I'm compiling what will hopefully be the biggest list of Jussie Smollett liars. And I might do a whole big video and just kind of an expose, if you will. But the big thing that really made me think, and I have to give credit where it's due, it was Tariq Nasheed, who some would call, he's like a black activist, but he's very extreme, and a lot of conservatives don't like him. But, gotta be real, he did amazing work here, and I appreciate it. He put the connection together with Jussie Smollett, where Jussie Smollett was out campaigning with Kamala Harris. He also has pictures from what I saw with Valerie Jarrett, Barack Obama. So this guy's heavily politically involved. He's not just an outsider per se. He's a big Democrat, big campaigner. And I've spoken about this and I posted a few links, but this is my official thing, and then I might do a whole big video. They passed an anti-lynching act. Kamala Harris and Cory Booker were lobbying to pass an anti-lynching act. And if you think that sounds weird, it is weird because lynching is obviously highly illegal. You can't lynch somebody, you can't kill somebody or hang somebody. It's already illegal. So any sort of act that's passing, it's more like a statement act, or there's probably some stuff written. I haven't been able to check out the whole bill, but it's definitely a political move, whether it be for promotion, I guess like rallying certain ethnicities behind. It's a very, very weird move. What's even weirder about it is the same guy, Jussie Smollett, who's campaigning with them and, walking around with all the big Democrats, staged a hanging when they were passing the anti-lynching act. So they were like, look, she referenced that and Cory Booker referenced that and said, look, black people are still being hung in America. Oh my goodness, Trump supporters are evil. We got to pass the anti-lynching act. And people are like, how is it not already illegal? Oh my God, we got to pass this act. It passed. Of course lynching's illegal. We don't live in the 50s or the 40s, or to be honest, we don't live in certain parts of Africa or the Middle East where we have although I would argue that laws seem to not apply to the wealthy. It's like they can do anything to get away with it, but it is illegal. So I'm highly suspicious of if he purposely did that, potentially paid off or under his own will, to use as political propaganda to not only lobby and rally against Trump supporters as they do every single day, but to get this anti-lynching bill passed in an era where lynching's already illegal. You feel what I'm saying? Very, very suspicious. Very, very suspicious. Even more suspicious than it already was, with the fact that none of the story added up, and it's looking bad for Jussie. And this was the one that got away with him. Sometimes you do too much and you go further, and you just get cocky because the media never covers it, and they tell you you're great because of your race or your sexuality. You can do no wrong. You're this race and this sexuality, so you're an angel, and everybody else is bad and mean, even though you're getting paid millions of dollars, and you could live your whole life yelling at the president and hating on taxpayer citizens. And they're like, yeah. And then maybe you just get to a point where it's like, oh, shoot, I do need self-accountability. I do need self-awareness, or else I become the problem that I'm fighting. And this goes with both sides. One thing I want to say about this Jussie Smollett situation is Alyssa Milano, who is peak Trump activist, you know, extreme. Honestly, she's been on The View and said she had mental illness. God bless you, Alyssa Milano. You know, I pray that you get better, because mental illness is no joke, and I'm serious about that. And also, she has what I would say is Trump derangement syndrome. If you're already mentally ill, you don't want to mix it with Trump derangement syndrome, because I do believe that Trump derangement syndrome is not genetic or inherited. It's something that you get when you watch fake media, when you lie to yourself, and you sit in an echo chamber of multi-million-dollar liberal elites who pat you on the back and say, yeah, everybody's racist, sexist, and xenophobic except for us, even though we ignore slavery and individual mandates that crush the middle class, and we're not going to pay attention to the fact that our policies don't work virtually anywhere, whether it's gun control in Chicago, whether it's high taxes in California. Ignore all that and just pretend like you're a really good person and Trump's really bad. Then you get Trump derangement syndrome, and it's hard to feel bad for people with that syndrome because it is self-inflicted. So she made a tweet that's very eye-opening, and if Alyssa Milano is watching this, hit me up, we'll talk, we'll have a coffee. Like, I really want to help you, and I don't mean this in a sarcastic way. Although I understand the last minute of what I said was hilarious, doesn't mean I'm being mean. I'm just mixing in humor with the truth. Alyssa Milano tweeted about the Jussie Smollett situation. If that man staged his own attack, he is wrong in so many ways. No one could be that hurtful to stage this, right? To FUCK with all of us by playing into our weaknesses and make it even harder for victims to come forward. No one could choose to be that hurtful, right? Right? That's her tweet, and it's very well acted by me. You know, just to let you guys know, in Hollywood, I understand that because I like libertarian values, I'll probably never get booked for anything, but I probably could be a good little side actor in this thing or anything. If you guys want to hire me and get true diversity of thought, I'm out here. I got long hair. I could play a weird hippie, like stoner or something. Whatever. It's up to you guys. Anyway, with that quote, she's like, it's like wrestling with your own delusion to the point where she's like, no one could be that hurtful to stage this, right? To F with all of us by playing into our weaknesses and make, like, that's what they do, Alyssa. And I understand why you're so confused, because you're like living in a whole life of lies, and it must be very hard and damaging, especially mixing it in with like other mental illnesses. And I'm literally not joking. This is what they do every day, Alyssa Milano. Yes, they do take advantage of the weak. They understand that you're weak. They understand that women and children are weak. They understand that certain ethnicities in our country are very hurt by history or even the modern day. You know, a lot of us are. And the media that you support, that you act as a puppet and a frontman for, the politicians that you act as a puppet for, this is literally their entire game plan, Alyssa Milano. So the Jussie Smollett situation is the one that got away from them. They do this every day, Alyssa Milano, 5 times a day, 10 times a day. Their whole strategy is taking advantage of the weak, of the naive, of the foolish, and of the hurt. And it's not okay. And it's not just the media doing it. There's certain religious organizations that do it. There's certain salesmen that do it. You know, there's certain companies that do it. It's not just the politicians and the media, but a lot of people do prey off the weak and the emotional and the hurt, and, you know, it's not right. But maybe, just maybe, Alyssa, this whole situation made you realize, could somebody possibly do something that bad? Could they really take advantage of us? Alyssa, while you were not paying attention, Barack Obama killed the leader of Libya, and there's slavery. While you were not paying attention, the LA Times reported, I believe in 2016, that the CIA and the Pentagon were funding different sides of a war in the Middle East. So they're literally taking your taxpayer dollars, which I'm guessing are in the millions, or at least at one time were, they're taking your money and giving it to 2 sides of a war in the Middle East. And now there's slavery, and now there's women getting, you know, raped and their heads cut off. Because that stuff really happens, Alyssa Milano. It's like, could someone lie to us? Yes, everybody you follow, Alyssa Milano, lies to you. Every politician you take picture next to lies to you. Every media source that you work with and that'll talk to you lies to you. They're all deceitful liars who use women and children and the weak and the vulnerable to push an agenda of slavery, beheading, terrorism, conquering of countries, meddling with foreign nations that doesn't result in freedom or equality or democracy like they say. So, yes, Yes, it is possible that someone could stage a hoax. They've done it in Syria. They've used mixed reporting in Libya. They've used false reports in Iraq. They've used completely skewed statistics in Chicago for the fact that they're covering up 500 plus murders. And they don't want to talk about it because the people getting murdered are black people, but there's no racial angle that they could benefit from. Because if it's a Trayvon Martin or a Michael Brown situation, they can do a white versus black, conservative, liberal, and they could divide people and get people amped up and, hating the police and stuff. So they use those. But when 2-year-olds and 1-year-olds and 9-month-year-olds and 80-year-olds and 70-year-olds and 60-year-olds and 50-year-olds and 40-year-olds and 30-year-olds get murdered in Chicago on a basically daily basis, it's more people killed than days there are in the year in Chicago. Most of them are black. Most of them are not killed by white people or police, so you never hear about it. It's because, to me, Black lives matter. All Black lives matter, from heart disease to media manipulation to killings to even the small percentage of police violence. I care about the whole full circle when it comes to black people because, believe it or not, Alyssa Milano, I'm not a liar like a lot of media you listen to. I want to actually solve the problem in the black community, the white community, the women's community, the LGBT community. But the people you follow, they say, oh, let's look at 0.001% of black murders and we're going to ignore the fact that 500 plus people, and then we're going to make a 2-year fiasco or 2-month fiasco over the Jussie Smollett hoax. The gay black man who did a hoax in Chicago, according to many reports now. We'll wait and see when it comes out. And you'll talk about this more than the 500. Why? Because their sexuality is different or because their stature is different in the world? To me, Black lives matter. You should be talking about people that, no one cares about these people. And I'm just confused. I don't get it. I really don't. And it's annoying. So, yes, Alyssa Milano, people can F with all of us by playing into our weaknesses and make it even harder for victims to come forward. No one can choose to be that hurtful. People do that every day. And I make videos that you can watch and you could figure it out. Just like the Jussie Smollett one, I use evidence and logic and CNN and Reuters and New York Times and news sources that you love to show you that, for example, under the Obama administration, according to Washington Post, which is, I'm sure, a source that Alyssa Milano loves, Obama put kids into the hands of child traffickers. This is not InfoWars. It's not Tucker Carlson. It's not Fox News. This was Washington Post that reported it. But you didn't care, Alyssa Milano, and no one cares, because unless there's an angle of racial division or Trump division or hatred for, a certain race in this country or a certain group of conservatives, you don't care. And it's gotten so delusional where, consider this a wake-up call. This video and the Jussie Smollett situation, yes, people can lie. Yes, it's been happening a lot. And this was the one that got away from them. Usually they lie, jump to the next lie. But this one blew up. And now the lie is 20 times bigger than the original lie. And people know now. So this is the one that got away with them. And when you root, before I move on, when you structure what you're doing with truth, it's a foundation that's going to last a century. For example, I made a Jussie Smollett video a month ago. I said, I don't have all the evidence. I don't have all the facts. I'm not going to say he's lying. It seems like it, but I'm not going to say that because I don't know it's true for sure. And I showed you all the other times the media's lying. So, for example, my video on Jussie Smollett has over 100,000 views on YouTube. It has 300,000 views on here, almost 500,000 views. I could play that video now, and it's still 100% true. Every media source that you guys follow, from New York Times to Washington Post, from MSNBC to Alyssa Milano to, Tyler Perry to, Kamala Harris to Cory Booker, none of what they said about the Jussie Smollett situation actually stands the test of time. Now what they said is a bold-faced lie. So how are you going to kick off conspiracy theorists and people that you claim are fake news when you're the fakest news out there? So truth is something that lasts. My videos stand the test of time. My NASA video, my Jussie Smollett video. Very rarely do I have to take down a video or edit it. Sometimes I make minor errors that are literally 1/50,000th of what the media makes. But most of my videos are still true to this day. That's not the case with the mainstream media. So if you build in lies, and I understand you don't like Trump, you don't agree with conservative values, you don't have to. But in pursuit of not liking Trump and hating half of America and white people, and Hispanics and Latinos Hispanics and black people who disagree with you, you're going to find that it's going to start crumbling. And you're going to be like, what? What? Because nothing you're saying or doing or following or believing, it's not true. The biggest conspiracy theories of the year have been pushed by all of these news sources I just mentioned. The Russia conspiracy theories, the biggest, most persistent lie I've ever seen, besides maybe another one. I don't want to name it to get too controversial. And that's all coming out. Second story of the day. Hold on. I want to take a sip of water, and then we're going to move on to the next one. I got to breathe.